Welcome to another episode of Thani Oruvan program. Thani Oruvan is basically, we have discussed this before also, program is to enlighten the knowledge and also to inspire our viewers in terms of bringing eminent personalities and the achievers in this forum. So, what we do, we discuss their success stories and we share the experience and let them inspire you in this next half an hour, then what you can take home or what you inspired by their discussions. So, in that nature today, we have a very interesting and very popular and also a worldwide recognized one of the best eminent personalities today for this show. This gentleman who has brought $85 million into Sri Lankan economy by through foreign revenue, foreign currencies, which is quite a lot than what we usually think. So, it's in 2017, and his visionary thinking also inspired in recent past in Sri Lankan, among the Sri Lankan population, is created the expectation of his vision. It cascaded down not only to the majority and also the minority population as well. Lanka Harness Company Chief Executive Chairman and also profession by attorney law, MBA holder from Sri Jayawardhanapura University, won many awards, importantly TOYP prestigious award for the business entrepreneur and also for the business leaderships. Let's also appreciate he is also a lecturer and examiner throughout his profession. He is contributing a lot to the society. So, on behalf of our team, we would like to welcome Mr. Rohan Pallewatta for the show. Welcome to the show, Thani Oruvan.
Thank you for inviting me to the program.
Now, as we said that this Thani Oruvan is basically a Tamil word. So, rather we say a self-made, or we call this as an achievers forum. So, what we do, we speak to these eminent personalities and sharing their success stories. Right. So, Mr. Rohan Pallewatta is today in our show, and we have created more expectation to our viewers in terms of we know when people look at your face on the screen, what they are thinking of also these days due to the next 3-4 months what country is expecting. So, before that, we would like to understand certain things from you. Well, tell us about your beginning.
Well, right now the place that you are having this interview, yes, this is my ancestral residence, which is over 100 years old. So, this is where I was actually born, and then I schooled in Kandy, St. Anthony's College, Kandy. So, you might wonder why a person born in Gampaha, why I was taken to Kandy. The reason was I was a very notorious kid. So, my parents thought the best thing is to put me to the hostel. So, I was in the college hostel for good 12 years, and the present business idea that you were talking about, my company Lanka Harness, I conceived this idea in one of my visits to Toyota. I received a scholarship, cultural exchange program scholarship, during my stay at St. Anthony, soon after my O-levels. I received a scholarship and I was there in Japan for 1 year. So, it was the structure of the scholarship that I was taken in to visit all the big conglomerates in Japan. So, presently what I am doing was conceived then at that time when I visited Toyota.
Yeah. Right, okay. So, basically your company is manufacturers that sensors on which impact to the airbags and the seat belts.
Exactly. So, that is the device that would recognize the impact if there is an impact.
Okay.
So, that is what I manufacture. The uniqueness of this product is its quality requirement, which is called 1 ppm quality. That is, when I produce 1 million, the defect tolerance rate is just 1.
All right.
And that is the highest level of quality anywhere in the world.
World as well. Okay.
And there is no quality beyond that. So, when I embarked on this, I was told by many that it would be impossible to achieve this high level of quality with the Sri Lankan mindset.
Okay.
But then I always say this, looking at all the great monuments built by our ancestors,
okay,
and the precision work that they had undertaken, I was convinced to the contrary. I thought that this DNA must be somewhere in our people, and I believed that provided the right leadership, that I can rekindle this DNA. I have been right, and here I am.
Okay. So, what molded you to be who you are today?
I think a person is molded by many things. One is your upbringing, that is your parents, the values that they lay, and secondly your school and environment, and the people you associate, right? So they are the best influences. So I think I have had the fair share of my influences.
Great. So basically, so this kind of a nature, who wants to come up in their life, I mean, you have gone up to an extra mile at international level, definitely would have faced a lot of challenges. What were those challenges? How did you overcome?
Well, actually, in my business, first challenge was to convince a company like Toyota that a country like Sri Lanka could deliver the world's best quality. It was not easy to convince them. Actually, I had to travel to Japan at least over 47 times to convince them that we could do it here in Sri Lanka. So that was the biggest hurdle, because our country was not known in the recent past for that level of quality. So marketing Sri Lanka was one issue. That is one of the biggest obstacles I had to overcome. The building of confidence in them that we could do it here. And secondly, of course, I started by exporting to Japan. But then subsequently today, I export to 17 different countries.
All right.
So every time you enter a country, I'm proudly saying I export, including these 17 countries include China and India, which are very difficult markets to get into. So when you enter a market internationally, which means you are conquering that country. Because your pricing, your delivery, your quality is far superior than that is in their own country. Because if it is not so, you can't enter those countries. So it is like conquering the world. So when you try to do that, it's not easy. Some people ask me, now you are trying to come out and contest for presidency, and it's not as easy as running a company. But my answer to that is, sometimes running an international business is more complicated than running a small country like Sri Lanka.
As well. Now see, then again linked with the business, and so later on we will talk about your rest, your vision also. So international market, apart from Sri Lanka, probably there would have been rest of the other competitors also come into this kind of a nature play. So how did you overcome those to establish yourself?
Actually, in this region, as I said, the quality is the key in my business. And because of quality has been an entry barrier for newcomers. Because you can achieve quality once, but the problem is you can't sustain it. Most of the people cannot sustain it. So even my company, we have to have a foolproof system to sustain this quality. So that is the key. So therefore, in this region, I can call that I am in a blue ocean. There is no competition.
As well.
Right? But in the world, of course, there are the competitors, there are the people who are doing this. But it doesn't affect me directly at the moment. These are the only Sri Lankan company who
I
think it is the only company in the region, actually.
Yes. Quality and the vision to play your blue ocean strategy to go out of the horizon and to reach your dream in your business goals. Let's meet soon after a break.
Since I was in Japan, I had that all the time to reflect. I was wondering, why am I making a statement? It's all about me, because of my image. It is not through the empathy towards these people, or it is not about the country, it was about me.
Welcome back to the show, Thani Oruvan. I am with today Mr. Rohan Pallewatta, the chairman, Lanka Harness Company Private Limited, and hopefully, and we expected to be a presidential candidate for 2020. Am I right on that part?
Yeah, you're spot on.
So Mr. Rohan, 21/4 attack is one of the darkest episodes in Sri Lanka. We saw a lot of politicians and the leaders who came in front of the people and addressed to the nation. There were so many activities and propagandas went on. So what did you do in your part?
Well, actually, when this incident happened, I was in Japan. I left Sri Lanka on the 20th, and this unfortunate incident happened on the 21st. Actually, the same question that you asked me, many people, they called me and they said, everyone is making a statement, and it's not good for your image because you have already declared your candidacy, so come and make some statement. And also people said that all the political organizations and everyone people with a political flair are making statements. It doesn't look good on your image, so better come and make a statement. Since I was in Japan, I had that all the time to reflect. I was wondering, why am I making a statement? It's all about me, because of my image. It is not through the empathy towards these people, or it is not about the country, it was about me. So all these things are happening in the political culture we are standing up against, we are trying to oppose. So I thought, if I am going to do that, I am once again doing an activity that belongs to the political culture that we are trying to oppose. So I did not want to get there. I was in Japan, but I was shocked by this incident. I was very sad as a human being. And every night, I had tears in my eyes when I went through, the lives lost. And the Japanese, they noticed that I was really disturbed. So otherwise, I'm a very, fun to be with person. So they were wondering as to what was wrong with this person. And they knew, and they asked, what can we do for you? Then I said, if I can get a forum to address, to get my emotions out. Then one of the organizations in Nagoya, whom of course I knew, they organized a forum. They said, like a Chamber of Commerce thing in Nagoya. They said, we'll organize a meeting. They said, but only thing is, there will be about 30 people attending our meetings. But they titled this meeting as an evening with the future president of Sri Lanka. And all their media during that time, NHK and all these channels were showing their attention to Sri Lanka was 100%. Because of these two factors, there were over 200 Japanese businessmen who attended this forum. So I spoke to them in Japanese, and if I just summarize and condense it, this was what I said. I said, my country is at its darkest hour. When it was your darkest hour, we stood by you as a nation. Now I'm humbly compelled to request the favor in return. Last year, for the first time in our history, 50,000 of you visited my country. But if that number declines due to this incident, the devastation that would be caused is much more than what happened on the 21st. Because it is the livelihood of the people at the bottom of the pyramid that would be affected severely. So I'm begging you to continue to visit my country and help us return to normalcy as soon as possible. And also I said, you might call me crazy if I request you to come and invest in my country, because it is the economy that has been hardest hit.
All right.
I'm an international attorney by profession. I will give you free legal consultation. And also with my experience, I have helped one of the Japanese investors not only to recover his investment, but to thrive and conquer the world. With that experience, I will walk you through the investment procedures of my country, free of charge. Please come and invest. So that was the succinct of my speech. And then there was a question from the audience. It is not your government as yet. So if we come and invest, it is the present government who will get the credit. Then my swift answer was, it doesn't matter who gets the credit as long as my country benefits. Then there was a huge round of applause. And then there were cocktails. After 30 minutes, the president of that organization went and announced, by that time 30 Japanese people have confirmed their visit to Sri Lanka. And 3 weeks ago I received a confirmed itinerary from them. There are 30 people, not just people, 30 company presidents who's going to come to Sri Lanka looking at the opportunities that they have to invest in Sri Lanka. So mind you, I'm really content and happy and proud of myself that I managed to convince some people, because if you and I think of investing in a country, I do not think that we would ever select a country like Sri Lanka to invest. But I managed to convince them, even in this situation where the country is today, I have managed to convince them to come and invest in this country. So I'm really feeling a sense of satisfaction within me that I have done my duty towards my country, although I did not make a statement on the 21st.
Okay. So now, since you also mentioned that economy was the hardest hit after 21/4 attack, and now as a country we have the slowdown in many ways. One factor is tourism and the system processes, and also the FDI, you can call it many, and we are slowed down and we are stagnant. What we could do differently now?
I think it was the structure of our economy that is to be blamed. For example, any country who wants to have a sustainable economy without big fluctuations at least 30% of the economy should be a tangible economy. That should be based on production. Even in Thailand, it's 27%. In Malaysia, it's 50%. In Korea, 80%, and Japan, 90%. But in our country, it's less than 2%. Right? So we are more focusing on service industry. But service industry, so we saw what happened. The moment, because tourism was flourishing. But tourism is a good trade because the money cascades down to the bottom of the pyramid. But the problem is, it is very volatile. You saw what happened. There were certain hotels, many hotels, popular hotels, where occupancy was at 100%, and within a day it became zero. So the plunge is too much. So therefore, that is why I propagate that we should have a tangible economy, at least 30%. So of course, we have planned it as to how we are getting into this production economy. So that is the only solution. That is the long-term solution that we can think of.
How is that going to be viable from 2% to 30% tangible economy of
exactly, because now the thing is, we are 70% agricultural country, but we don't have agri-based industries, right? Because we just take the rice out of it, and the residue we just discard. But other countries, they have agri-based industries. It doesn't have to necessarily be huge industries where you employ thousands of people. It can be village-based enterprises, where when you take the cumulative sum, the input to the country is very high. That is why Thailand, that is what Thailand is doing. So we have, at least we should have a vision and a policy to, the government should support this initiative. Unless if we think automatically this 2% will go up to 30%, no, it will not happen that way. So there should be thinking behind this, especially the leadership of the country and the policy makers of this country, and it is only then that we can get there.
See, then again, what we say is that you have your vision to bring to 2% to 30% and to be tangible economy, and a lot of things can be done. Of course, we all understand that. But do you think, as a Sri Lankan, as we have used for certain policies and the system, it can be changed?
Yes, I think I'm fit enough to answer that question through my own experience. Because even when I started my own business, as I said at the beginning, many people said, with the conditions of this country, you can never achieve that quality in Sri Lanka. But I achieved it. So therefore, even the things that you say, with this policy regime and with the present culture, it will be difficult to achieve. No, I think if you have the right political will and will to succeed, anything can be achieved in this country.
So we'll go for a short break and we'll meet after a break.
Policy regime of a country is what differentiates its journey. Mark my word, it's going to polarize once again between two candidates, but not green and blue.
Welcome back to the show, Thani Oruvan. I am with today Mr. Rohan Pallewatta, Executive Chairman, Lanka Harness Company Private Limited, and also presidential candidate for 2020. Mr. Rohan, why you want to come into politics?
Well, good question. Because now I could retire as a successful entrepreneur even tomorrow. But then, now the way the state of affairs of the country doesn't permit me to do so. Because if we all, become comfortable with what we are, and if we expect this corrupt political system to be corrected by an accident, it's never going to happen. So someone had to raise his hand. So I am proud to say I am the first person, 3 years prior to these incidents and all this, I am the first person to have announced that I am going to challenge the existing corrupt system. And the thing is, now whatever we do, it's in the micro environment. And the macro is handled by these politicians. And whatever they do are affecting us who are in the micro environment. So now there comes a time where you are compelled to challenge the macro and get the reins of the macro into your hands. And of course, you have to feel an empathy toward all the people, all the suffering that people are going through, irrespective of the races, irrespective of the religions that they belong to. Every person, every Sri Lankan is going through hardships, yes. Right? When it comes to the problems, it doesn't have a race or a religion. Everyone, the problems are common. So it is a fallacy of the present system that has put our nation into what they have, the suffering that they are going through. So that is when, through empathy, that I decided I'm going to challenge this. I'm going to come out of my comfort zone. I'm going to take all the trouble, absorb all that, and challenge this, and going to accomplish it on behalf of my people.
So you're aiming 2020 presidential candidate.
Yes.
So what are you going to do differently as a president?
Of course, policy regime of a country is what differentiates its journey. Because if you take, for example, 20 years ago, the export income of Vietnam and Sri Lanka was same. But after 20 years, our export income is 12 billion US dollars and Vietnam 180 billion US dollars. So we got to pay attention and see what went wrong. It is just a matter of two policy decisions that Vietnam took. So policies are important for a country. So it is because the present people who are in the legislature, I do not think that they have the capacity to comprehend the right policies. That is one of the key issues. So we got to have a real think tank who would be very futuristic, and of course we'll have the roots of this country, soils of our sons of our soil, who will design these policies above. So it is when you try to work with a different policy regime, that is of course what will be different from what is happening right now.
Right. So what was your key visions you have if you take up the leadership of the whole nation?
Well, one of the key visions that I have, it's more economic vision. The target that I have set within 7 years, 10,000 per capita income.
10,000 per capita
That's
income.
right.
Right. So you were mentioning from the tangible economy, and is that also part of your vision? And
of course, because when you reach 10,000 per capita,
yeah,
right? Because right now our entire economy is 80 billion US dollars. So 10,000 per capita means it should be at least threefold, right? About 240 billion US dollars. So of course, as I said, when the 2% grows up to 30%, naturally we can get there. So it is a realistic target. Yeah.
So have you decided your party? I understand that you have a Social Democratic Party of Sri Lanka. So is that the party you are going to contest, or?
Actually, now in Sri Lanka, according to the elections law, a party, before being recognized by the elections commissioner, you have to operate under that name and symbol for 4 years. So we are just completing 4 years. So our first application was actually declined, not rejected as such, but they want us to reapply. So we will be applying again. But I do not know whether this can come within the framework of the frame time of the presidential election. If it does not happen that way, of course we will get the help of a registered political party, because according to the law of the land, it is only a member of parliament, former or present, or a person nominated by a registered political party that can contest for presidency. So then I will be compelled to take the help of not any of the major parties, but there are 73 and more parties in Sri Lanka.
So it will be decided at the time
of that, yes, exactly.
We understand
Yes.
that also. So now see, from the traditional politician faces is we are going to see a new face who going to contest very ambitious country's statement position. So what do you think, how a people will look at you, and do you have that confidence that they will come forward for your vision?
I am very confident of this for a reason. Because all these 70 years, we saw whatever activities that you engage in, or however popular a third candidate may be, just prior to the election, the contest polarizes down to two candidates. So over the years, it has been between greens and the blues. But for the first time in our history, mark my word, it's going to polarize once again between two candidates, but not green and blue. We detest this system entirely, and the people who are representing the present corrupt system. So this is the polarization that is going to happen, and with that polarization, I am very confident that we are going to win this game.
Right. So in Sri Lanka is a multi-ethnicity country, and majority Buddhist, and also we have Tamil, Christians and Muslims, Burghers and etc. Most of them are in Sri Lanka, some of them are outside of Sri Lanka. They are waiting to see a better future for them. Probably they want to come back and settle, and probably they want to come and invest back. But what kind of a message you have for them?
Actually, on the 8th of July, I'll be traveling to UK because in UK, the Sri Lankan population is going to become 1% soon in their population. So they are having the Sri Lankan National Unity Dinner every year. I'm proud to say this year I'll be delivering the keynote there. So even that in that message, I want to say that there should be cohesion, because now Sri Lankan Unity Dinner invites the Tamil diaspora, the top people there, and the Sinhala diaspora. And then they exchange a few speeches, they have a dance overnight, and they build up camaraderie, and then they leave. So that is the kind of spirit that we intend building in this country. Because I come from a school where multi-ethnic, multiracial school. Muttaya Muridharan is from my school. There were Muslims, Tamils and Sinhalese, Christians, Buddhists, Islam, faith people, all in the same hostel, college hostel. So I have come, I'm from that background, that upbringing. So therefore, I see that humanity is the key. So as a leader, of course you have to respect the majority, that is why Section 9 is there in the Constitution. But there should be a leader who speaks straight talk, right? Rather than trying to appease a certain section of the people just to get the vote. And that is why the country is at this state today. So there ought to be a straight talking leader with compassion, with humanity, and that is the way I think that we all can come together as Sri Lankans under one leadership. Right.
As a final, I have two questions, and I would rather ask as a message from you to the people. Number one, I would just like say, now see, after 21/4 in Sri Lanka has much deviated from their primary goals, now has gone into more ethnicity related grudges, problems, violence, and so many things, rather people call racism and etc., which is pulling back all our growth as a nation. What is your message for the Sri Lankan, how we should behave at this stage?
I think after the 421 incident, there was no immediate gush out of emotions. So what happened after 2 weeks was that was something organized by politicians, the present political system. There's enough and more evidence to show that. So therefore, let us as a nation, be it Sinhalese, Tamils or Muslims, let us think for ourselves. This is our country and we got to live, and a negative effect for the country we will all have to share, irrespective of the race that we belong to. So there is no point in getting to a conflict, because no one is going to benefit in a conflict. So we got to, because only as the moment you remove the political element out of what is happening, I don't think there will be any conflict in this country. So we got to be mindful, but the thing is, people are mindful. But as I said, after the 421 incident, there was no backlash. People did not attack the Muslim people. They did not, right? So even when the emotions were gushing out of them, they had self-restraint. But the politicians, they expected it to happen. That was their agenda. They wanted to create chaos in the country, but that did not happen because the people were ahead in their thinking and they were wise enough. They understood, repercussions would be to everyone if we try to, propagate violence. But then the politicians propagated violence, right? So the clear message is, as people, let us think. Let us not be driven by what the politicians are trying to drive us to think. Let us have our own independent thinking to resurrect this nation.
Right. Yes, it's a very spot on answer. I would also agree with you on that point. And so what's your message for the people who are living out of Sri Lanka, we call a diaspora, or who are the people who was waiting still Sri Lanka to settle down and their homeland to come better and perfect, probably rather for them to come back and invest or come down and settle down? What's the message you have for them?
I think every person, every expatriate who is domiciled overseas, with their heart they are connected to this land, because all of them are born in this country. So unfortunately they do not want to return because of the political chaos that is here. So I have raised my hand on behalf of all of them, because they have their day-to-day work, they have their employment, they can't leave that and come back to Sri Lanka. So I have undertaken this task on behalf of all of them. So please, we need their help. We want them to come, and if they are citizens still retain their citizenship of Sri Lanka, to come and cast their vote. And even if they have obtained citizenship in any other countries, they might have their relatives, friends living in Sri Lanka. Please communicate the message to them, because every single vote will be vital in winning this game.
Right. So, as a final message to our audience, what Mr. Rohan Pallewatta has to say?
There is no straight line to success. In life, there will always be ups and downs. The best metaphor is an ECG. Ups and downs indicates that you are very much alive, and that's very good for you. A straight line indicates that you are no more.
With that perfect note, and would like to thank on behalf of our team from Thani Oruvan Ashes Forum, and giving you a valuable time to share all your vision and thoughts and experience to our viewers. And also we'd like to wish you all the very best for your next competition who are going to face, and which your vision and also what you plan to do this for this country. And with that note, and all the very best, thank you very much, Mr. Rohan.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
So we were speaking to Mr. Rohan Pallewatta, who shared his experience and his success stories, and also his vision, what he seeing as Sri Lanka, and how he has a plan to change this country to a better place for living for all of us. With that note, and also let's see one point he raised it out and said, we have to be very vigilant and be united as a nation, all ethnicity together, stand together in order to come up in our life to build Sri Lanka. So with that note, we are ending this program. See you in another episode. I am Ali Ahlam Nawaz. Thank you very much.